ready to see if anyone is writing any questions. Welcome to our weekly update. We know that we didn't do a session last week because there wasn't much updates to share, but we're back this week with the lovely Maria from Money Chats. Hello, Maria. Let me bring you up here, Maria.
Hello. Hi, Ariane. Hi, everyone watching.
Hello. So we've got quite a few things to update everyone about in the next 30 minutes. Let me just bring what we're going to cover today. How are you first? How is everything going this week?
I'm quite okay. Thank you. How are you?
Yes, good. Well, getting more into things, I think the adaptation phase has passed now, so more into things generally. So we're ready for whatever is coming. Are you?
Yeah, I think it's the new normal now, so it's okay.
It's okay. So let's dive into it, Maria. We are covering first, so in terms of emergency funds for small businesses. So for the listeners and viewers, if it suddenly cuts off, do not worry, we will be back online. And if you cannot hear everything, I will be repeating, just clarifying something. So please do bear with us. Technology is great when it works. Sometimes it doesn't, but that's life. So Maria, let's hand over to you, talking about the first point, which is updates in terms of government grants and the local councils.
Yes, so regarding the government grants or any help and support that you might be eligible for from your local council, we were told multiple times that you shouldn't do anything and you should wait to be contacted by your local authority. It appears to not be the case. It is not so standardized. Some of the local councils are contacting people and they're saying you're eligible. Some are waiting for you to contact them, and there's a third option. Some of them are have updated everything online, and there's a form for applications if you think you're eligible. So don't wait, check what is the situation for you so you don't miss on anything. This is basically the update on local council.
Yes, absolutely. I think I saw this as well, Maria, where at the beginning, I'm just repeating what you just said, where small businesses were told they would be contacted to wait. But actually, if you haven't by now and you think you should have been, it might be a good idea to contact your local authority, isn't it, Maria?
Exactly. Or at least go to their website and see if they have an application form. And if you can do that, or if they're recommending that you call them, just check their website first.
Yes, I personally have been in touch with my local council, Hounslow Council. They have been very effective and very quick in responding. So it's funny, I contacted them, I think it was through Facebook. I sent them a message. They've been quite active with the regular updates on Facebook, keeping the public updated with not only business but community recommendations. And I did contact them on Facebook by Messenger, and they directed me to a specific link onto their website. So they've been really helpful and very, very quick and helpful. So like you said, Maria, if you haven't heard back from if you haven't heard anything, do get in touch with your local council. Anything else on this point, Maria?
No, that's all. Just make sure you're not missing on any money that you're eligible for.
Moving on to CBILS. So we have much more clarity now on CBILS. So who should apply, Maria?
For some background information, the CBILS have been around for about 4 weeks now, I think. there have been a few approvals, but not as many as expected. Approximately 1.1 billion in total from all the participating banks have been approved. This is about 1% from the total. Actually, a lot less than 1% from the total. As far as I know, in the beginning, as of the end of last week, Barclays, for example, who is a pretty big bank, one of the biggest participating, has only approved one loan. I don't have an update for the current week. So what this is telling us is it's not a super straightforward application process, although we have a lot more information now. And if you have a good application, it's expected to take about 3 to 4 weeks to be approved. But that is in the case of a really good application.
Yes, and
what else?
I heard that as well.
Yeah.
I can confirm through various meetings I attended where they were saying exactly the same thing, that CBILS applications, the success rate is around the 1%, if not less. So, and again, the emphasis on the application itself, to take the time to do the right application, not to rush it, because it might just be simply rejected. They were saying that it's best to take your time and prepare a good application. What's your thought on that, Maria?
Absolutely, take your time and search for advice, probably professional, because from the papers that they are requiring, if you don't have any accounting or finance background, I don't think most of the people are going to be able to prepare on their own. Also, there are some Google ads for quick applications and fast track applications and so on. Don't go for this, it's a scam.
Oh, so what? I haven't heard about those. What are they, Maria?
There are Google ads for a quick CBILS application. That's exactly what they are, and they are scams. You're going to buy some quick application package that is not going to do anything for you.
So contact professionals who are used to dealing with financial matters and recognize approved, isn't it?
Yeah, you will probably need that. I mean, if you have already applied for financing and if you've managed to prepare on your own and score 1, you can go for this one as well. But otherwise, most companies that are going to be able to apply on their own are mid-size, and they will already have some kind of a financial department of their own. So for most small businesses and that are not specializing in that area, I don't see them being able to do that on their own.
That's something you can help them with, Maria?
Yes, absolutely.
So do get in touch either through us here at CCJM, and we can put you in touch with Maria, who can help you with the application. How much did you want to add? Anything else, Maria, on this?
Yeah, I have a little bit more of general information. So as you know, the last time we spoke, there were about 40 approved official partners of the program. Now there are a little bit more, about 47, but some new were approved, and some of the original ones dropped out because they were not happy that there is not going to be personal guarantee required for loans up to 250,000.
Yes, that's the government is trying to help the small business and their application by enforcing this, enforcing the banks not to request this, isn't it? That's something new.
Yeah, it's. I think it's been about 2 weeks that this has been out there, and it's also the reason that some of the original partners dropped out. But as we mentioned, some new have been approved. and more have applied, so new ones are expected to join, which is a good thing because some of them are going to be peer-to-peer lending. The first one were mostly high street banks, and they are not always the best ones because sometimes they have a lower risk appetite. So some of the alternatives and the new ones that would like to join and are waiting for approval, I think, are going to be better suited for many small businesses.
So such as which ones, Maria? If they're not high street ones?
As many of them have not been approved, I cannot comment on who is waiting for approval, but some of the ones that I know are peer-to-peer lending. They're not banks, they're companies that are involved in lending to people as well as companies.
So those will be added onto the BBB listing once they are approved. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. So
Um,
keep an eye over there. And now I think we can go into who should apply.
So who should apply, Maria?
Who should apply? So let me put it this way. If you're a profitable business, small or medium, and if your business was not interrupted by the coronavirus and this lockdown, so you're a viable business, but you're having temporary cash flow issues because of the lockdown, then you're probably eligible to apply. If you're a startup, if you're a business that is not yet profitable, you're growing, this is not going to be for you. You're not going to be approved. You need to be a business, or you need to be running a business that is going to be able to receive this loan under normal conditions. So there are certain things that you could look at when deciding for how much to apply. The official information is 80% of turnover or the wage bill yearly. But I heard that there is something a little bit better to look at. So your EBITDA, this is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, should be able to cover your debt repayment by 1.7 times. So I know it's a little bit very financial, and this is why I mentioned that I don't think the majority of the people who don't have financial background or accounting background are going to be able to figure out this whole thing on their own.
Yes.
So this basically means the bank is going to be looking at how much are these earnings that I mentioned for your past year, and how much is your current debt repayment, and after incorporating the CBILS loan repayment, are you going to be able to sustain those payments? So this is what is going to be important for them, while the 80% of wage bill or turnover is some kind of orientation. It's for the bank or for the lender, it's going to be more about, are your cash flow going to be back to where they were before? And are you going to be able to pay this? Having said this, the loans need to be able to be repaid within 6 years. The interest rates that I hear at the moment are between 6 and 8%, which, depending on your credit rating or your previous borrowing interest, could be good or not so good. It depends. So if you're going to be able to repay the loan, to take a loan and repay it within 12 months, which is, as we know, up to 12 months, there's going to be no interest repayment, or the government is going to take care of it. If you're able to take a loan and repay within 12 months, you can basically end up with free money, something that happens really rarely and should be taken advantage of. But this requires your business to be in a decent shape, apart from the current situation.
So for the smaller businesses who have recently started trading, who are not in a profitable place yet, more of startup stage, so what would be their option, Maria?
They should look at startup loans. There is something similar for them provided by the government. I can send you a link a little bit later to share because I don't have it in front of me. But yeah, they should be looking at startup loans and not wasting their time with applying for CBILS that they're 99% not going to get.
Yes, so it would be wasting their time, with wasting opportunity, all of it. So I have two things to share on that subject. The first one is I discovered a nice little tool online. I love my little gadgets. And this online tool has been provided by the bank I do my business with. So Tide Business Bank, they have a tool, a robot, and that robot will ask you questions and will guide you and signpost you as a business to the right financial help. So which help you should apply for. So that's a nice little tool. I had a little try at it. And it not only applies to business, but they also have questions if you are self-employed. So if you are a sole trader, self-employed, they also give you links that you can go and check depending on your circumstances. So I'll share the link of that as well. And there was one other thing I wanted to mention is, correct me, Maria, I believe that for startups, small businesses who have only just started trading, when it comes to loan, they're looking at also personal finance when applying for loan, isn't it?
Yes, you're right about that. But I was going to mention this when we are speaking about application papers or what you need to provide to a lender in order to apply for the CBILS. That could also be the case for CBILS if the company is going to apply for a larger loan. The bank has the right to ask for the personal financial situation of the directors.
It's something that I heard as well again this morning, where they do check up to 6 months personal finance to see how they manage their personal finance. So we're hearing the same things.
Yeah, personal accounts up to 6 months. Yeah, I have the same information. This is one of the requirements to apply.
What else was there? How much to ask for, Maria? Did we cover this?
We did cover this. This was the complicated accounting information.
Oh yes, that's when I switched off, Maria.
Yeah, exactly. I had a feeling that I lost you at that.
My brain switched off. Well, you're the expert in the numbers, and I'm not. So this is so just to keep it simple. What sort of loans are we talking about in terms of amounts?
If you want to hear a range, the minimum to apply for is 26,000, and the maximum is going to be 5 million.
Okay, my brain is registering this.
Very good, but you probably still don't know how much you can apply for if you have covered everything that we discussed so far.
Yes.
Based on this information, you probably still don't know how much you can apply for.
So how
because it requires a calculation based on your earnings.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So get in touch with you is the answer, or with someone like Maria. That's the easy answer.
Yes, Maria and a lot of other companies are providing help with this.
Thank you, Maria.
You're welcome. Some other information about the application papers, or are you seeing any questions?
Application papers, Maria. Yeah.
Okay, so application papers, balance sheets and cash flows, probably for the past 3 years, but for the last year they should be in a really good shape. Accounts for the last 3 years, management accounts, credit reports for the directors, as we already mentioned, list of business debt, and if we are talking about a larger number, it's possible that they require personal accounts up to 6 months and personal debt. And I had a question whether the credit rating or the credit score of the company is going to affect the lending, while they have officially said that this is not going to be leading. Once they ask you for your business debt so far, they have this information. And what I previously mentioned, how they are going to calculate how much debt you can carry, how much you can repay. If you have a lot of existing debt and this is part of your credit rating or credit score, it is going to affect up to a certain point, because it affects your ability to repay new debt.
Of course. It still is a loan, so yes.
Exactly. And for the lender, it's still a business, and there is still a lot of risk involved, and they want to know how much risk they're taking. And this is something we discussed previously, that if one bank says no, you should apply to other ones as well, because one no is not a definitive for all of them, because they have different risk appetite.
Yes.
So some are going to be willing to take a larger risk than others.
And I can confirm that, because I've been in touch with, I've been going through my list of contacting suppliers and bank and a local council. And again, it was also confirmed this morning at the meeting I attended, where it was said every branch, every bank branch and company have slightly different ways of operating things. So although there's a general recommendation by the government, they have slightly different ways of delivering those recommendations. So either calling the banks or the companies directly, or sending them an email beforehand. Sometimes the forms are jammed up, so sending an email is maybe the second option. I'm still working through my whole list. I think it's good to remind everyone that until they get emergency funding, it's very important to reduce the outgoings, right?
Fixed cost is something that I think we've discussed previously. If you haven't done it before, it's a good time to do it now.
Yes, and also renegotiating possibly some contracts. Now is a good time. I personally am renegotiating some suppliers, and they're tending to wanting to keep your custom. So we'll make better effort to reduce the prices. So if people listening, small businesses and entrepreneurs listening and watching haven't done that, that would be probably the priority before thinking of any other emergency fundings. Reduce the outgoings, isn't it, Maria?
Absolutely. First, the fixed cost, and obviously the variable cost, they are quite down, just naturally.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we come, if I can go back into the application papers, then we come to the tricky part, because you need to present a business case. Some of it, actually, business case is just a part of the business plan that you need to present. The business case is why you're interrupted, why you need the money, and how you're going to spend it, some justification. But then this needs to be backed up by cash flow projections. And this is basically a financial model that is based on your previous balance sheet and cash flows that we already mentioned that the bank is going to require anyway. So there need to be projections. These projections of cash flows, they will need to incorporate the repayment of the CBIL. They need to show that you can sustain the payments. Also, they need to incorporate if you have received any other government loans, because, you know, things are not exclusive. Just because you're going to apply for this loan doesn't mean you're not eligible for receiving a government grant from the local council, as we discussed previously.
Mm-hmm.
So this received or expected needs to be incorporated into the model as well. And I guess for most people, this is the tricky part. And this is the part where they would need professional help. The previous papers, I think, they should have their accounting statements. They should have statements for their management accounts and for the reports for the directors and so on, bank statements for the existing debt and so on. But this is basically a projection and an estimate. So that is the more difficult part.
So you can help with that, Maria. Again, do get in touch with us. So if CBILS is not an option for our listeners, they might be in the startup category. So startup loan application might be something for them. And again, you can help with this application preparation, Maria, as well.
The application preparation is probably going to be pretty similar, except they probably don't have some of the above mentioned financial documents, especially if they're operating for less than a year. They're not going to have financial statements. So their financial model and expected cash flows are going to be based on a lot more assumptions.
And projections, yes.
Yes, for existing business, this is based on the past, basically, because they already have numbers and they can be used to estimate future cash flows, while for a completely new business or operating less than a year business, it's very it's not possible to do. So there are a lot of assumptions and estimations.
Yeah. So one last category we didn't mention today, which we did before, is self-employed sole traders. So if you can just recap very briefly, we're coming to the end of the session. So just to recap, for self-employed sole traders, entrepreneurs, what is their situation right now in terms of emergency funding?
I haven't looked into that for a while, but if I remember correctly, that was a bit of a similar situation to the grants. So if they're eligible for up to 80% of their income, capped at 2,500.
Yes,
that was the number, right?
I think that's right, Maria. Yeah. So if I remember as well, it's the average profit over 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's capped, like you said, at 2,500. And HMRC will contact people directly. So there's nothing to be done. If I'm correct, that's right, Maria?
Yes, I haven't heard any updates on that one, but if people would like to be proactive, they can maybe go to the websites and check out if there is something new happening, because it's the same with the council tax. Local council, nobody mentioned that it's
that they had
not
changed.
standardized. Yeah, so
I did hear that, and I did hear people suggesting to log in to the self-assessment section of HMRC. So if you are self-employed sole trader, log into HMRC, and there is possibly a way to calculate. I haven't checked it in details, but there seems to be a way to calculate the estimated grant from the government as self-employed. So this way, you know if you are expecting anything or not. Log into HMRC and check it out. I have heard in this week that some self-employed entrepreneurs are not going to get much out of this grant simply because it's based on the net profits after expenses. So there are talks about giving them other options. So that's currently, I believe, being looked into.
good. Hopefully, we will hear something new about that soon.
Yes, I mean, everything keeps developing. We keep having updates, clarification. Thank you, Maria, for doing all this research for us. So if you want to connect with Maria, let me bring up your details. Thank you, Maria. Thank you for... what? Sorry, Maria?
I just said my pleasure.
And if you have any questions for next week, so we'll keep it same time, same day next week, unless we have to change it or if there's no additional updates. Maria, is that right?
Yes.
And check out Maria on money-chats.com. Do connect with us. Send us your questions if you have any. And thank you again very much, Maria.
Thank you, Jan. Bye.
Don't disappear. Bye. Thank you, Maria.